Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So it's an election year, which means that many topics will be up for discussion, including Social Security. So we'll be going over a couple of different plans to save the program, including one that would increase benefits across the board by $2,400. Plus, we're going to be going over a couple of different picks that Trump is saying that he may choose to be his VP. But before we go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Plus, if you would like to receive up to $9,000 in free stocks or $9,000 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Webull. All you have to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then deposit at least 1 penny. At that point, Webull will be sending you at least 3 free stocks worth, once again, all the way up to $9,000. And if you do not want to invest at this point in time and you'd really just have the cash, all you have to do is once you receive those free stocks is just sell them for what they're worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so diving right into our lead story of today's video, and that of course is Trump coming out with a couple of different names of who he is considering to select as his VP. So let's go ahead and watch.
When will you announce who your VP is?
Not for a while. I mean, we have so many great people in the Republican Party, but not for a while.
Well, what criteria are you using to identify who your running mate is?
Always, it's got to be one thing. It's got to be who would be a good president. I mean, you always have to think that because, you know, in case of emergency, things happen, right? No matter who you are, things happen. It's got to be number one.
Who is your running mate?
Well, I have a lot of good people. We have a lot of really good people.
So you haven't decided who it is?
I have a lot of good ideas, but I haven't. And there's no reason to do that quickly.
So you haven't told that person, you're my person?
I speak to everybody. I speak to everybody. You know, I called Tim Scott because a lot of people like Tim Scott. I called him and I said, you're a much better candidate for me than you are for yourself. When I watched him, he was fine, he was good, but he was very low-key, et cetera, et cetera. I watched him in the last week defending me and sticking up for me and fighting for me. I said, man, you're a much better person for me than you are for yourself, because for himself he was low-key. For me, he's been a real tiger. He's been incredible, and others have too.
So maybe it's Tim Scott.
Well, it could be a lot of people, but it was interesting. I was watching Tim. I've been watching, you know, for a while. I watched him campaign as a candidate, but I watched him over the last 2 weeks. As you know, he endorsed me, fully endorsed me, gave me a beautiful endorsement, and he has been really strong in terms of that. No, but that has nothing to do. I don't want anybody to take even any inference. But it's incredible. Kristi Noem has been incredible fighting for me. She said I'd never run against him because I can't beat him. That was a very nice thing to say.
What was the story that your team reached out to RFK Jr.?
It's a false story, no. It's a false story.
You never reached out to RFK Jr.?
I like him a lot. Nope, never happened.
So he's choosing between either Tim Scott or Kristi Noem. Of course, it could possibly be someone else, maybe, you know, Vivek Ramaswamy, perhaps even Ron DeSantis. But it does look like it may be either Kristi Noem or Tim Scott. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Who do you believe Trump should select as his VP? Now, of course, it's also an election year. We do have the election coming up November later on this year. It's going to be probably more than likely Trump versus Biden once again, unless something happens to either one of them or perhaps both, which means, of course, we're going to have a lot of different topics of debate up for discussion. So we're going to have the border, the economy, and of course, Social Security as well, which right now experts are saying that Social Security, if nothing is done about the program, whether they raise taxes or send fewer benefits out, the program is going to be going insolvent in the year of 2033, which means that across the board, if nothing is done, everyone is going to be receiving a cut of anywhere between 20 to 25%. Now, of course, there are many different plans out there. We have many different proposals out there, which we are going to be discussing a couple of them in this video. But first off, we're going to be examining a plan by Bill Cassidy. It's a bipartisan one, so we have Bill Cassidy and Angus King. They are kind of the leaders, and then they have Democrats and Republicans on both sides of the aisle kind of pitching in different ideas. But we're going to go ahead and listen to this plan by Bill Cassidy, and then we're going to come back to talk about a plan that would actually increase benefits across the board by $2,400 and the likelihood that it actually has to pass.
How much harder is the former president and, frankly, most now Republican elected officials who are suddenly running away from touching anything with Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid? How much harder is this making your job of trying to convince Republicans to have this conversation?
You know, both Joe Biden and former President Trump have the same plan, which is to do nothing on Social Security and to allow a 24% cut to benefits when the fund goes insolvent in about 8 or 9 years. They both have the same plan. It does make it harder. When your leading presidential candidates have made the decision to deceive the American people and to say there isn't a problem, when every actuary who looks at this says that there is a problem, and someone who's currently receiving 80 years old, otherwise would be in poverty, will get a 24% cut in their benefits by current law, it makes it very hard when they are so irresponsible. It's true for President Biden. It's true for former President Trump.
Let me ask you, in this effort to get reform, are you open to tax hikes? I mean, it's going to have to be some combination of tax hikes and probably raising the retirement age.
What we have is a big idea. And in our big idea, we create a fund which is separate from Social Security. We put about $1.5 trillion in it, and we allow it to be invested in the nation's economy. There's no risk borne by the beneficiary, and there's no Social Security dollars put into this separate fund. And we allow it to sit there, and we allow it to grow. And at the end, it helps bridge Social Security to sustainability. All the risk is borne by the fund. Now, what you do in the additional 25%, that is 75% of what we need to do. The additional 25% are dials that politically we have to come together and resolve. If one side proposes something, the other side will demagogue it. We see Trump and we see Biden demagoguing it now. We need honesty with the American people, but we have a big idea that solves 75% of the problem, and that's a pretty good idea.
So that's definitely an interesting idea, and since it is bipartisan, it may actually have a strong chance of passing, but right now it's kind of held up. We don't have a lot of momentum going towards that bill. We're really going to need people on both sides of the aisle pitching in ideas to really have a chance of anything passing. But right now, once again, we do have a bill out there that would actually increase benefits by $2,400 across the board. This is a proposal by Bernie Sanders, so we're going to look at what's in this bill, just a few of the different things. So first off, it is going to extend the solvency of Social Security for 75 years. This is basically going to require people who earn above the $167,000 threshold, which is in 2024, to continue paying in the same taxes that everyone else is. And then it's also going to expand Social Security benefits by across the board for current and new beneficiaries by $2,400 a year or $200 per month. It's also going to increase the cost of living adjustment, so they're going to use the CPIE rather than the CPIW, which usually is higher by right around 0.2% every year on average. And then, as we just mentioned, it's going to require millionaires and billionaires to pay their fair share into Social Security. So anyone earning above the regular threshold, which I believe is $167,000 this year in 2024, will have to pay the same as everyone else. And then, of course, it's also going to improve the special minimum benefit. So it's going to make it so those who are receiving the special minimum benefit to have their benefit bumped up to 125% of the federal poverty line, so 25% above the federal poverty line, which will work out to an increase of close to $500 every single month. But now let's sit down and examine how much of a chance this bill actually has to pass. We're going to go ahead and pull up this bill both in the House as well as in the Senate, where they've been introduced in both chambers, and see how many co-sponsors they have and how many co-sponsors are Republicans, how many co-sponsors are Democrats. So we're first going to pull up this bill here in the Senate, which has been introduced by Bernie Sanders. And right now we can see that it does have 9 co-sponsors. However, all of them happen to be Democrats. All 9 co-sponsors are Democrats. As far as in the House goes, 35 co-sponsors in the House, so there are more co-sponsors in the House. However, all 35 of them happen to be Democrats. So as you can see at this point in time, this bill that would raise benefits across the board by $2,400 per year for all Social Security beneficiaries only has support from Democrats. And until Democrats have at least 60 members in the Senate, where they would be able to have enough votes in the Senate for this bill to pass, and until they have the majority in the House, there's really no chance for this bill to pass. Not to mention that even in the Senate, they don't even have support from all 51 Democratic senators, and they also don't have, the majority of the support yet from the House. So we don't even have that much support from Democrats in the House and the Senate. So until they even get all Democrats on board, this bill, quite frankly, really has no chance to pass. But we'll definitely keep an eye out on that. We're going to have a bill where both Republicans and Democrats are in support of it for a bill to really have that much of a chance to pass. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. What do you believe they should do about Social Security and saving the program? Do you think they should be raising the full retirement age? Do you think they should be increasing benefits? Do you think we should be increasing taxes? Do you personally have a plan yourself? Let me know your thoughts in comments below. But that's all we have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. And I will see you in the next video.